Good afternoon. I'm Commander Mike Benavides, the Austin Travis County EMS Public Information Officer. Today, we'll be bringing you a tour of CTEC, which is our Combined Transportation Emergency Communications Center in Austin Travis County. And today, we're going to be joined by Chief Adam Johnson, and Chief Adam Johnson is our Division Chief over the Communications Center, and what he's doing today is he's going to give us a brief tour into the life of one of our communications medics. And so this is all being done in recognition of National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. So Chief Johnson, thanks for joining us. And so what we want to do is why don't you tell us a brief history about CTEC and what we're going to be doing here today.
All right, so yeah, CTEC is, like you said, is the Combined Transportation Emergency and Communications Center. This is our 911 call center for the city of Austin and for Travis County. We moved in here back in 2003 and combined our 911 operations from a bunch of different disparate sites into one common center. The building and the facility is actually funded jointly by 4 partners. It's the City of Austin, Travis County, the Texas Department of Transportation, and Capital Metro Transit Authority. Under those partners, we've got multiple departments at the city and the county that work here out of the building. So as the name says, it's not just the 911 Emergency Communications Center. We're also dealing with transportation, the fixed bus route for Capital Metro, and the city and county's offices of emergency management are here as well. The center itself, when we're talking about from the 911 side, processes a little over 1 million calls a year between all 4 of the public safety agencies that are represented here. And we maintain all of our operations for the Austin Police Department, the Austin Fire Department, Travis County Sheriff, and Austin Travis County EMS, in addition to 13 of the county emergency services districts. So literally every fire department in Travis County is dispatched out of here as well.
That's good stuff. Why don't you tell us, we mentioned that it's National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. So from you personally and professionally, what does this mean this week to you and your staff?
So for us, this is a week that we can kind of pause and recognize the work that's being done behind the scenes in the 911 system by the telecommunicators. They are typically sort of the unsung heroes of our emergency response system. We're definitely behind the scenes, and we are the entry point for all emergency calls. On the EMS side, we start providing patient care even before the first wheel is rolling on the ambulance. We're there on the scene assessing and triaging those calls and providing life-saving instructions, pre-arrival instructions for things like cardiac arrest and choking and childbirth. So it's an opportunity for us to recognize the unsung heroes behind the 911 phones.
Excellent. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be coming out of this office, and Chief Johnson is going to give us a tour of his center. So we'll be taking a walk.
Let's go. So this is the operations floor at CTEC. We are in the EMS section right now. To kind of give you if you pan around with the camera a little bit, just adjacent to us is the fire department. So their 911 operations and dispatch. We have the big video wall up in the front. That's managed by the Texas Department of Transportation. So they're monitoring all the traffic flow, and they can actually move the cameras around and help us assess and locate collisions if somebody's not sure of their location. In front of them is the Travis County Sheriff's Office in the center of the room, and then on the far side over there is the Austin Police Department. Their non-emergency call taking and their 911 call taking, and then all the dispatch operations as well. So there's 4 public safety partners out here on the floor, plus TxDOT, and then Capital Metro has a couple of consoles over by APD where they manage their fixed bus route.
Okay. Thanks for giving us that overview of who's represented in here. So why don't you walk us through once someone dials 911, how that call is processed, how it comes through this system, and what people can expect when they dial 911.
Sure. So when you call 911, your call will land at what's called a PSAP, a Public Safety Answering Point. They are law enforcement dispatch centers, so it'll be depending on the jurisdiction that you're calling from, either the Austin Police Department or the Travis County Sheriff's Office. They'll answer the call, and the first question they're going to ask is, do you need police, fire, or ambulance? If there's a call for an ambulance, they immediately conference in our comm medics, who will then work jointly with the law enforcement dispatcher to triage that call. We go through a series of questions. We use the medical priority dispatch system to triage our calls and prioritize them. Based on the answers to those questions, we know what response to send. The call taker will put all that information into our computer-aided dispatch system, and then the ambulance will get dispatched from there. We work jointly with the fire department, the police department, and everyone in the center here is all on the same computer system, so we can share information through the computer system. We're all on the same radio system as well, so we can have all of our responding units on joint use channels so we can all communicate and get the most efficient response.
I know that when we panned around the room, the first thing that usually draws everybody's attention here is these big television screens, these monitors that we have up here. Can you tell us, we know that that's part of TxDOT and the roadway system. How does something like that help when we're coordinating resources or assets? How do they integrate with each other?
So we actually use the video wall quite a bit. Many times folks are disoriented if they've been involved in an accident and then in the crisis of what's going on, trying to sort out, are they going northbound or southbound? What roadway are they on? We can use the cameras to actually zoom in and determine exactly where they're at. TxDOT also will dispatch their personnel to go out and help with roadway management and assist the police department with lane closures and things like that. So it gives us a kind of eye in the sky look at what's going on out there on the roadways. We've been able to modify ambulance routes based on what we see with traffic backed up and congestion and things. So the video wall and what we're doing with TxDOT is a very useful part of our 911 center. We were the first center in the country to combine transportation and 911 into the same building and to work as closely together as we do. The Department of Transportation is actually in the CAD system as well. They're in our emergency system as well. So when we have incidents out on the interstate or out on their roadways, they get notified, and that's how we, again, pass information back and forth. They go find us the closest camera and put a camera on the accident scene.
That's great information. We really appreciate you telling us about this stuff because, this is something that a lot of people don't understand, especially if you're not here, how all these agencies and maybe even some of the public safety agencies that aren't historically considered public safety, how they integrate in order for us to work more efficiently to get those resources and those emergency responders to your location in a more timely and efficient manner. So now that we've kind of got the basic rundown, why don't you give us a tour of the area? Why don't we go over here and speak to your comp supervisor?
Sure, we can do that. Come on over. So this is Communications Commander Danielle Henson. She's the supervisor on duty today here at CTEC for EMS. So her job is not only to manage the room and take care of our comm medics and everything that's going on here in the room, but she kind of sits at the center of the system, watching the deployment of our units, making sure we have balanced coverage, coordinating all the needs of the ambulances and the command staff out in the field to make sure they've got everything that they need. So this is Commander Henson.
Scoot on over. No, you can just sit down, be comfortable. Well, Well, thanks for joining us today. And so, obviously we're showcasing what's going on here at CTEC, especially in the Communications Center, to showcase and kind of give people a kind of behind the scenes look at their communications medics. And so what we want to know is, this is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week.
Yes.
So what does this mean to you?
It's just a week where we can recognize the people that answer the phones and that aren't seen, and do a lot of work behind the scenes that, again, no one ever sees them. So it's a good way to give them recognition and let them know that, we hear them and we see them.
Excellent. And so I know that as we walked around, we see that some people have brought you some food and some things in appreciation of this week. So how do you think? I know we're only into the it's only Tuesday, and it started Sunday, and we've got a few more days in this week. So what have you heard maybe with the members of your staff? What does it mean to them? I mean, do they feel like it's they're getting that recognition that this week is dedicated to them?
Yeah, it's absolutely recognition. It's also getting to see faces like y'all that come up here, and we don't always get to see the medics. We don't always get to see a lot of the, command staff, and so this is a nice way for everybody to come up here and say hi and, hear the voice or see the face that goes with the voice. And it's nice for them to get the recognition, because a lot of times once the crews get on scene and the medics take over, it's okay, we're done with that call. And so this is a great way to recognize the fact that they are the first responders.
That's great. We always talk about, when someone dials 911, it's usually it's a very anxious time for them. They're full of adrenaline. They're trying to call, unfortunately, sometimes because there's something critical going on. Before we continue our tour, what would you say? What would you want to leave the public with of something that they need to know if they have to dial 911? Unfortunately, we're that evil necessity. We have to be around. But what would you want them to know?
For sure, the most important thing is to know where you are and to be aware of your surroundings. We're going to ask you where you need an ambulance, and when you're caught up in the moment of the adrenaline and the excitement of calling, sometimes it's easy to get flustered or forget. It's also important to know that we're going to ask certain questions, and that the questions that we're asking are all coming from medically trained personnel, and we're all EMTs or paramedics up here. And so the questions that we're asking are so we can make sure that there's enough help coming. It's not just to slow things down. The ambulance, as soon as we get your address, the ambulance is already on its way, and so we're just trying to make sure that we get the right amount of help if we need to send you extra units or fire trucks or whatnot. So.
Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate you taking your time with us. We'll let you get back to work, and then we'll call Chief Johnson back in here, and we'll have him continue our little tour of the area here.
All right, so we can step back over here. We'll look at one of our call takers. This is Michelle Stewart. So she's one of our medic twos here in communications, and she's one of the call takers on duty today. This area is one of our call taking areas. So a little slow right now. We don't have any calls coming in for you guys to watch, but that's a good thing. And
so what happens here in the call-taking area? This is where the initial call comes in from 911, and it's transferred over to here. And then this is where they will speak. A caller will speak to the first person, right? What is it that they're going to be asking them? What are they doing specifically in this location?
Right. So Michelle would pick up the call, and we're going to, just like Commander Henson talked about, get the location of the emergency, a callback number, and then we go through our triage process where we ask a series of questions to figure out what's wrong, prioritize the response so that we send the right level of response, and then start providing patient care through the instructions that we'll give over the 911 phone. We've got simple instructions, things to prepare the scene, like, put away your family pets and gather up the patient's medications, have somebody go outside and meet the paramedics, and then even more advanced instructions on things like how to deliver a baby, how to perform CPR. So we can take a bystander who doesn't know how to do CPR and walk them through the process just in seconds, be able to get them beside the patient and actually providing care, starting CPR, managing automatic external defibrillators, dealing with the situation. So we're truly the 0-second responders. Where as soon as we're connected to somebody on the scene, we're able to start stabilizing that situation.
Michelle, why don't you come in here? Let me ask you a question real quick. So usually when people call, and you always hear that anxiety and they're in a rush and in their voices. How do you get someone to remain calm when you're trying to talk to them? They're trying to give you, a million details and instructions of what's going on. What do you do? I mean, that's always a great question. Is how do you maintain your calmness, but then try to get the caller to be calm?
There's a variety of techniques we use. One of them is repetitive persistence. We'll ask the same question numerous times, trying to get them to focus on the information we're trying to get. We'll try to get their name, and we try to be calm and reassuring, and try to remember that that's probably this person's worst day in their life, that they have to call 911.
Was that something that they teach you, or is that something that you just kind of learn on the job and you just kind of maybe develop your own style?
I think a little of both. I mean, they obviously give us a lot of training to help us deal with all of the different types of callers that we get, but a lot of it is just, you try to be sympathetic and empathetic with what the person's going through, and that's why we're here, is to help them.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We'll let you get back to work. So, Chief, we'll bring you back in here, and then we'll walk over to the dispatch area, and then you'll let us know what's going on over there.
Yes, sir. So over here at dispatch, we have a primary dispatcher and a backup dispatcher. What we're doing at primary dispatch is, as the call taker starts the call, gets the information about the address and what's going on, they'll put it into that computer-aided dispatch system. It'll pop up on the screen over here. They are keeping track of where all of our available resources are. They assign the closest available ambulance, and then relay information to them as they go responding. So as you can hear, if you move over here a little closer, lots of radio traffic. We've got 40 ambulances out there on the street running calls right now. Chief Kane here is helping us maintain our coverage. So this is definitely, of all the places in the center, these two positions are the busiest all the time. It's a constant state of balancing coverage and making sure that we've got the ambulances positioned in the right places to be able to respond as fast as we can and take care of our citizens.
This is we just recently launched Broadcastify, and so that has a lot of the radio traffic, our Austin Travis County EMS radio traffic, that people out there, can listen to, and they can hear our activity, day in and day out. Is this the kind of traffic that they're going to be hearing, or will they be hearing all of this kind of traffic, this radio traffic?
Yep. So on broadcastify.com, we've got an official department radio feed, so you can tune in there and listen to all of our dispatch activity, everything that's going on with communication between us and the fire department, first responders, between our dispatchers and the ambulances. Really all of our incidents, you can tune in and listen to all of our radio traffic.
That's great, and like I said, we really appreciate you all taking some time. We'll kind of slide back over here and get out of everybody's hair now that we've kind of gotten the grand view and kind of a day in the life of an Austin Travis County EMS Communications medic. We want to thank you again for taking your time. Is there anything that any final thoughts that you want to leave the viewers who joined us in today and took their time out to to celebrate with us, to acknowledge National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, and it's not one thing I want to point out, it's not just here locally, but this is being acknowledged and recognized and celebrated throughout the country for all our behind the scenes heroes. Any final thoughts from you, Chief?
I just think that we're very appreciative of the attention that is given to us during this week. These folks work really, really hard day in and day out, and like I said in the beginning, they really are the unsung heroes of the emergency response system. The work they do is often thankless and just kind of an afterthought as the response takes place. So it's great for us to be able to take a minute and acknowledge the work that they do. Speaking of that, we actually have a hiring process going on right now. So if this is something that you're interested in, we have a hiring process that opened this week for an academy that starts in June. So you can go to our website, the atcems.org website, and click on the hiring tab up at the top and fill out an ATCEMS interest card to get more information about coming to work for us.
That's great. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time today, Chief. Hey, Chief Kane? Chief Kane. I was going to try to see. We had a special visitor out here today. It's Division Chief Michael Kane. He's one of our operations division chiefs, and as part of National Telecommunications Week, and just to kind of get some FaceTime with some people that we don't get to see as often as we should or we'd like to, but because they're up here taking care of this kind of business. But as we mentioned earlier, Chief Kane was up here, and we were hoping to get a couple words from him, but that'll be okay. He's busy right now. So on behalf of Austin Travis County Emergency Medical Services, in recognition of National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, we want to thank you for joining us, and please feel free to follow us on Twitter. Leave a message for us in our mention at ATCEMS. Follow us on Facebook or any of our other social media accounts. If you have any suggestions or some content that you'd like to see in the future that we can bring to you that are behind the scenes, just let us know. We thank you again for joining us.